veto.
We could not support an unconditional ceasefire that failed to release the hostages. Because, as this Council has previously called for, a durable end to the war must come with the release of the hostages. These two urgent goals are inextricably linked. This resolution abandoned that necessity.
There's no justification whatsoever for vetoing a resolution trying to stop atrocities. No justification for that.
Furthermore, fire blazed as Israeli forces conducted a military operation in the village of Kafirdan in the north of the occupied West Bank.
According to the Palestinian Red Crescent, at least one person was killed by Israeli gunfire during the military operation.
In northern Israel, the area surrounding a kindergarten remained closed on Wednesday after a rocket fired from Lebanon struck near the building. Israeli police said a Hezbollah rocket fell outside the empty kindergarten in the northern city of Acre, causing damage but no injuries.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem delivered a defiant speech on Wednesday, saying Israel cannot impose conditions for a truce in Lebanon. As visiting U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein headed to Israel to try to negotiate an end to the war, he also vowed that the response to recent deadly Israeli strikes on Beirut will be on central Tel Aviv, Israel's densely populated commercial hub.
We have prepared for a long battle and we are negotiating now, but because we are under fire, as they say, Israel is also under fire.
On the other hand, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar said any ceasefire deal must ensure Israel still has the freedom to act against Hezbollah.
Unfortunately, Lebanon is a failed state, but we cannot pay the price in our security and the security of our citizens for their lack of sovereignty or concessions on the sovereignty, and therefore, in any agreement we will reach, we will need to keep the freedom of to act if there will be violations.
Now, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen to this.
The United States says that its veto of the resolution today is rooted firm in security and accountability. The resolution failed to directly tie the ceasefire to the release of hostages by Hamas, something the U.S. sees as a non-negotiable. Officials argued that the resolution also didn't go far enough in condemning Hamas as a terrorist organization, including targeting civilians and using them as human shields. The U.S. stressed that while humanitarian aid is essential, stronger measures need to be in place to ensure that the aid doesn't fall in Hamas's hands, a concern the resolution didn't adequately address. This veto ultimately underscores America's unwavering support for Israel and its commitment to ensuring that any ceasefire is not compromised and the terrorists aren't emboldened. Now, critics argue that this delays critical aid to Gaza. The U.S. maintains that an unbalanced resolution could worsen the situation in Gaza. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
A major storm swept across the northwest U.S., battering the region with strong winds and rain, causing widespread power outages.
And it brings with it a scary sounding weather term, bomb cyclone. Experts say bomb cyclone is created when a cyclone between the tropics and polar regions intensifies suddenly. More in this report.
This one expected to be one of the strongest storms to hit the northwestern coast of the United States of America in decades. It showed signs of making landfall on Tuesday evening, knocking out power and downing trees across the region. The Weather Office issued an excessive rainfall warning which starts on Tuesday and ends on Friday. A wave of severe rainfall will likely extend from south of Portland, Oregon to the north of the San Francisco area. The National Weather Office said hurricane-force winds at speeds of 121 kilometers per hour were felt along the Oregon coast.
It's going to bring some significant precipitation to portions of Northern California. We're talking rainfall totals 10 to 20 inches possible, with feet of snow, several feet of snow in the highest terrain. This is going to likely result in significant flash flooding and landslides.
The name itself is enough to create a stir: bomb cyclone. It's a term used to describe a process that meteorologists usually call bombogenesis. Bomb cyclones have been associated with major weather events all over the United States in recent years. They can happen in many parts, including the Northwest Pacific and North Atlantic, and aren't unique to the US West Coast. Hurricane Milton, which made landfall in Florida last month as a Category 3 hurricane, is a recent example of a bomb cyclone. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration defines it as the outcome of two extreme climatic streams ramming into each other.
There's a number of factors that are involved with any storm system to make it